It started with a smile. Delilah's usual warm lipstick kind and a sealed manila envelope she placed right in the middle of our dining table. Like it was dessert. We weren't even done with dinner. She poured me another glass of wine, kissed my cheek, and said, "I've got something for you. Just some family papers. I didn't think twice." That was the tone she used when mailing birthday cards to nieces or handling HOA forms. I took another bite of roasted chicken, wiped my hands on the napkin, and slid the envelope open without suspicion. What spilled out wasn't sentimental. It wasn't cute or harmless or bureaucratic. What fell into my lap was a copy of a mortgage agreement. My eyes scanned the first page, then locked on the borrower's name at the top. My name, government ID, signature, employment history, everything, a loan secured under my identity for a 2-story colonial in Brooklyn. I blinked, trying to steady the room. What is this?" I asked. My voice wasn't even angry, yet just confused. She leaned her elbows on the table, her tone unnervingly calm. "It's for Trisha, my sister. She's finally going to get her own place. We've been planning this for a while." I looked at her like she was speaking in Morse code. "We?" I asked. "Who's we?" That's when I noticed Margot and Ruben, her parents, seated quietly across the room on the couch. Like an audience waiting for the lights to come up. Margot had her arms crossed, her face tight with something between smugness and righteousness. Ruben nodded once, solemnly, as if I were at some kind of intervention. "You're the most financially stable," Delilah said gently, as if that justified what they'd done. "We decided you should be the one to pay for the house." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the absurdity hit me like a slap I hadn't registered yet. "You, what?" I asked, stunned, holding the paper like it might burst into flames if I kept touching it. "Dilla, this mortgage is in my name, my credit, my income, my signature." I didn't agree to this. "I never signed anything." She tilted her head slightly, that same patronizing smile spreading wider. "Well, Trisha deserves a fresh start. We thought this would be the easiest way." "You thought forging my name was the easiest way?" I snapped. My heartbeat had climbed into my throat. "You forged my signature." Margot stood up and walked toward the table, placing her hand on my shoulder like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Family doesn't always wait for everyone to catch up," she said. "We made a decision." "You're part of this family, so it includes you," Ruben chimed in from behind her. "It's not about the money, son. It's about support." "Support," I said, rising slowly from my seat. "This isn't support. This is fraud." The word hung in the air like a dirty secret. No one wanted to acknowledge. I held the documents out to Delilah. "You signed this. You signed for me. You forged everything." She didn't deny it. She didn't even flinch. "Trisha needed it," she said again, as if that line alone could excuse everything. "We knew you'd be angry at first. But it's just paperwork. It'll be paid off quickly. You won't even notice." I stared at the glass of wine she just poured me, my untouched plate, the golden lighting above our dining table that suddenly felt more like an interrogation lamp than a chandelier. It hit me all at once. They had planned this. They had sat down and filled out these documents together, printing out forms, using my social security number, my job history, even copying my signature from old leases and driver's licenses, and none of them had the decency to tell me before handing me the bill. I stood there for what felt like years. I wasn't even sure if my legs were still holding me up. Then I walked toward the hallway, grabbed my jacket from the hook, and turned back only once. "I'm going to need some air," I said. Margot looked at Delilah. "He's just overwhelmed." She said, "He'll come around." "No," I said, sharper this time. "I won't." I left. Not just the house, but something more permanent. That night I didn't sleep in our bedroom. I didn't return to our bed or our shared bathroom or the side of the closet I'd carefully filled over the past 7 years. I pulled the guest room door closed behind me, locking it out of habit, even though I knew no one would bother me. I sat on the edge of the twin bed and stared at the mortgage documents until my eyes ached. The numbers danced. But the betrayal sat still, solid, immovable. They had done this, without hesitation, without warning. without remorse. And Delilah, wife, the woman I thought I'd build a life with, had done it with a smile. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even call anyone. I just lay on the stiff guest bed, my arms crossed, like a man waiting for a sentence to be handed down, and in the quiet of that room, with the heating vent humming above me and the distant sound of her family laughing in the living room like nothing had just imploded, I realized something simple, something devastating. I wasn't their family. I was their plan. Myself, with the evidence, one group chat message from Delilah still stuck out. It's not like he can't afford it. That line burned. As if having the means meant forfeiting the right to choose how those means were used. They treated my success like it was a public resource, a community fund, and that was the part no one else seemed to understand. Even friends who meant well would say, "Can't you just fix it quietly?" Quiet fixes are how they get away with it. How they write you out of your own life. And call it kindness. Darian and I built a timeline. Every document, every date, every message, every financial statement that showed I hadn't authorized a cent. He found a forensic handwriting expert to examine the signatures. "It's crude," she said. "They probably used a digital trace. I've seen this kind of forgery before. Usually by family members who think it's harmless." Harmless. The word rattled around in my skull like loose screws. Harmless doesn't leave you with a $480,000 liability. Harmless doesn't follow you through background checks and credit pulls. Harmless doesn't require cease and desists. And courtroom dates. By the end of the week, the mortgage company responded. They'd flagged the account and paused payment spending investigation. It wasn't resolution, but it was movement. It was someone finally taking this seriously, I thought. That might shake Delilah's family into silence. I was wrong. Trisha posted a story on social media, a photo of the house, with the caption, "He promised to help." Now he's ghosting. Delilah reshared it with a sad face emoji and the words, "Family over ego." Margot uploaded a screenshot of my LinkedIn bio and a salary estimate from Glassdoor, tagging it. Just saying, some people forget where they came from. They didn't deny anything, they just spun it, like I was punishing them, like the crime wasn't the forgery. It was my refusal to swallow it. Darian laughed bitterly when I showed him the screenshots. Classic smear campaign? We'll include this in the emotional distress component of the counterclaim. Counterclaim? I asked. You think they're going to sue me? He didn't hesitate. Yes, because in their mind, you're the villain now, and villains get punished. They'll want to preempt